Hello, today Devil's Due movie review is going to cover Spartan by David Mamet. Now, I've got a special guest with me here today, Charlie. He's the one who suggested the movie. And just for all you new viewers, Devil's Due movie review, we give underrated movies their due. So it can be a financial failure in that it lost money at the box office. Can be a critical failure in that, maybe the general public liked it, but critics didn't get into it for whatever reason. Or it could be a critical hit, but the general public just did not feel the same way and gave it low user scores. Today's movie, 2004 Spartan, has Val Kilmer, William H. Macy, Kristen Bell, Ed O'Neill, a young Clark Gregg for all you Shield fans. Solid cast. Written and directed by playwright David Mamet, probably best known for Glengarry Glen Ross. It qualifies as a Devil's Due title because it grossed $8.1 million worldwide on an estimated budget of $19.2 million. So it lost hard at the box office. So given that backstory and a little basic information on it, Charlie, why'd you suggest this for an underrated movie?
So, as you said, it failed financially. I love it. It has a unique feel for action movies, right? Most go way too hard into the violence, and I don't know. I came to the movie, it's a bit before my time, 2004. I was just a little kid. Didn't know it was a financial failure when I saw it. I was heard of the movie based on a podcast I was listening to, still entitled Adam Savage. He went so deep on the go bag Val Kilmer's character carries throughout the entire film, and how that was a great storytelling prop,
Right?
And how it was just had everything he needed and apparently nothing else. So based on that recommendation, I gave it a shot and watched it and absolutely loved it.
So I had never seen it before, but I don't know anyone other than two people that have ever watched this movie.
Yeah.
And both people highly recommended it to me, which I was thinking to myself, never saw it, never heard of it, but 100% of the people that watched it really liked it. So I gave it a chance, and I'm going to say it was kind of hard to find.
Yeah.
It's not on a lot of streaming services that I saw. Some things I thought were interesting about the movie. I did a little research on how it was made. And as far as trying to be realistic, Val Kilmer was coached by and mentored by an Army Ranger and one of the founding members of Delta Force, apparently. So his character was fairly realistic from that perspective. I assume. I'm not a Delta Force or anything, but also for Heat, that really famous shootout, they had apparently gone through some weapons training for that too. So going into it, I expected Val Kilmer to handle the weapons very professionally. And whenever violence does occur in the movie, it looks good. Like, he looks very legit in that role. The movie was under 2 hours, but was just constantly moving everything forward all the time. Like, I felt like there weren't any scenes that were for atmosphere or ambiance, or it was just, does this scene move the plot forward? If not, cut it. So, yeah, it was pretty fast-paced, considering it had a lot of political thriller elements to it.
Yeah, and that was the major fault of the film that I came to rewatching it before I recommended this movie to you. Just moved too fast. It could have stood to stretch it a little bit and add some more character, but I don't know if doing that would have they could have done it as effectively as they did the rest of the scenes.
I think I was thinking about that, and I think it would have hurt the film actually.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, the go bag is a storytelling device. I think there are details like that sprinkled throughout the movie for someone who's like really paying attention. There is a lot of character development without wasting time, but you just have to be observant enough to catch it. So this isn't one of those movies you should be playing on your phone during or anything like that if you want the full experience. My biggest complaint about the movie was actually I felt like some of the dialogue delivery felt a little unnatural.
Yeah, Val Kilmer going in and just immediately playing a new character, trying to blame the Secret Service agent for leaving his post. With zero setup, zero backstory, just him immediately, very robotically, spewing those lines.
Yeah, that seemed a little jarring to me.
Yeah.
And it's not, I have this theory, it's not the actor as much as the director, and my go-to example is Natalie Portman. It's like, think of all the movies you've seen Natalie Portman in where she knocks it out of the park, and then think about the Star Wars prequels.
Yeah, like, she has range, but...
It's the director can have such a huge influence on the actor. And I think, I've seen Val Kilmer in so many good movies, like Top Gun, Mad Mardigan and Willow, of course Doc Holliday in Tombstone, which is amazing, and then also the detective in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Yes. Like, that's another great role. So it's not, I'm not a Val Kilmer hater. Like, I enjoy his work, but this role, sometimes the dialogue just felt really off. But outside of that, it was a very, very good movie. Yeah. Another part in character development we were talking about was at the beginning of the movie, Val Kilmer is very strict about, I'm a shooter, I'm not a thinker, like I'm a drone, and Ed O'Neill takes him to the side and is, we didn't even mention the plot. A politician's daughter that they very, very heavily insinuates the president's daughter, is kidnapped, and Val Kilmer is tasked with going to find her. So Ed O'Neill takes him to the side and is like, can you do something for us? It's not exactly legal. And Val Kilmer's like, I'm here to take orders. And by the end of the movie, he's become a very independent character. And I found that evolution of him just being a worker drone into, going out of his way and like breaking out of the mold to do the right thing. Good storytelling.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, the title Spartan, one riot, one ranger. If you're only sending one guy, that guy can't just be following orders. He has to be giving them and choosing his own path. And he really evolves into that role as the film goes on. And I gotta say, from talking about it being a politician's daughter, I'm pretty sure they do explicitly say the vice president's daughter at the very end, or the president's daughter. At the very end, they make it clear that it was POTUS's daughter.
Okay, I missed any explicit, but they just hinted at it so heavily with all the context.
Yeah, the earlier
I just kind of assumed it was her, whether or not they said it.
The thing I really enjoyed about it is the fact that while it is a political thriller in that sense, at no point does it choose a side, Republican or Democrat. It is just, oh hey, the party is evil.
Yeah,
you don't need to know which party, and that's fine.
Without going into spoilers, because no one saw this movie.
Yeah.
I have to say, it is a very cynical movie. It's a very cynical film. Val Kilmer and maybe one other character are like bright spots in this very dark world.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious. Did you feel like David Mamet, the playwright, made a good director?
Now that you bring up the blocky dialogue, I could see where he has some growing pains on that. honestly, I hadn't followed him as a director to watch, or gone to any movies specifically because he was behind the lens. What else has he directed? I know he's written. He's very prolific in the writing.
Yeah. So I haven't actually seen a lot of his directed movies. He did one called Red Belt, which is all about jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And it's like a morality play with jiu-jitsu, where this struggling instructor has to compromise his beliefs and his ethos in order to be financially successful. And it's him struggling with whether or not to follow through on that, on compromising or sticking to the path. Yeah. And I thought it was a very good movie. I'm a big jiu-jitsu fan. We watch UFC and stuff like that, but it was just a well-made, character-driven movie about integrity, with a lot of martial arts mixed in. But that being said, that action didn't blow me away. Like, oh man, this is the next martial arts director, because it was mainly a character-driven kind of study.
Now, I might be mistaken on this, but I think David Mamet also directed some of the episodes of The Unit, as well as writing a large, sizable chunk of that show.
I've never seen that show.
I think he's grown since 2004,
okay,
as far as a director. Again, I'd have to check out some of his later work to give a better opinion on it.
Yeah, but as a writer, great. Director, I wasn't entirely sold, even though I did really enjoy the movie. I liked Red Belt too, though, so maybe I'm coming around on him.
Just the character Val Kilmer plays, which I don't think we ever actually get his real name, which again goes to the secrecy.
They call him. I think at the beginning when he's training other recruits. Yeah. I think someone does address him, but.
Yes, but then he's later addressed by that name and says, "That's not really my name."
Well,
which is just interesting as far as the military secrecy goes. But he doesn't seem very sentimental.
No.
Which I think is an interesting dynamic, because going into a little detail, at one point he presents the president's daughter with an earring case, showing that, the one person from her family that actually cares had literally sent him. That's how she knows he's the good guy.
Right.
But then a few minutes later in the film, you see him tearing up and destroying the one little piece of paper he got from his, trainee that was killed, and using that to make a cigarette.
I saw that.
Which, it's a very conflicting thing between sentimental and just utilitarian.
I kind of interpreted that differently.
Yeah.
My take on it was, people in government are all kind of scumbags, and the piece of paper that he was tearing up was actually like a code given by the government for their behavior. And I think I took it as he was tearing it up, rolling it into a cigarette, and burning it, because he realized that was empty words. That
he's no longer going to live by that, since he's no longer just taking orders.
Right. That's the way I interpret it. But it could also be him demonstrating how just practical he is too, because they really drove home that everything he does has a practical aspect to it.
Yeah.
So could go either way. I think that wraps it up. Check out Spartan. Val Kilmer, David Mamet. 2 thumbs up from me, other than some clunky dialogue, or not even the dialogue so much as just the delivery was a little off. It's a recommend though. I think you should check it out. Maybe help it earn a little back in rentals or online purchases or whatever.
And maybe actually get it a Blu-ray release sometime. Might be nice.
Or 4K at this point.
Yeah.
All right. Till next time.